Now I have the pleasure of presenting the Gerald B. O'Connor Award to 4 outstanding attorneys here tonight. NJAJ established the Gerald B. O'Connor Award to honor trial lawyers who embody the high level of skill, creativity, and professionalism that Jerry O'Connor was known and respected for. The hallmark of Gerald O'Connor's long and distinguished career as a trial lawyer was his integrity. A quote from author Jerry Dollar comes to mind when remembering Jerry. It all begins with integrity, knowing who one is, what one stands for, and what one is willing to fight for. To be a gentleman is to know the world around you and the people that make it up. It is a deep-felt respect for the thoughts and ways of others. It is to embrace the beauty of humanity, to find the good in all of those around you, and to commit yourself to bring out the best in those you meet while bringing out the best in yourself. This quote, for those of you that know him, sums up what Jerry O'Connor was all about. And in many ways, it sums up all of the recipients that we are honoring tonight. Jerry was a senior partner in the Westville law firm, O'Connor, Parsons, Lane & Noble. He practiced exclusively in the personal injury litigation field, and particularly in medical malpractice. He was known among his peers as being one of the leading plaintiffs' lawyers in the state of New Jersey. But more importantly to him, he was known as a man of principle, who was always true to his word, fair in his dealings, and a fierce advocate for his clients. Jerry O'Connor was a longtime member of NJAJ, which honors him tonight with this award that we've created in his memory. The award is presented to veteran, current, or former NJAJ members who, like Jerry O'Connor, have had a stellar legal career and have exhibited skill as a trial attorney, have exhibited creativity as a trial attorney, and have exhibited professionalism as a trial attorney. That being said, I'm pleased to introduce our first recipient tonight of a Jerry O'Connor Award, Raymond Brown. It's over here. When I was thinking the last couple of days about how to introduce an attorney as distinguished as Mr. Brown, I went to his website at Greenbaum Row, and I can think of no better way to begin my introduction of him but to read from a quotation that's at the very top of his biography on the website. My work is driven by a deeply rooted passion for law and justice. In my mind, it is imperative that I demonstrate to each client my capacity and willingness to understand their core concerns and human needs. This process takes time and may uncover issues that extend beyond the legal matter at hand, but in the end, it becomes a vital component of a successful strategy. This quotation describes Raymond Brown as an attorney, but it also struck me as a quotation that describes a lot of us in this room. Trial lawyers who have a passion for the law and a compassion for our clients. Mr. Brown concentrates his practice in white-collar criminal defense, international human rights issues, and complex commercial litigation. He is a leading figure in a developing area of law related to the regulation and enforcement of business requirements for human rights compliance. He has handled many high-profile cases over the years, and most recently, he successfully represented United States Senator Menendez as defense co-counsel in the criminal allegations of public corruption and bribery brought against him. Mr. Brown was the 2018, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, right? Inaugural recipient of the Francis X. D. Award from the American College of Trial Lawyers. Those of you who don't know Frank D., he was in North Jersey, a very well-known, well-respected, primarily defense employment lawyer, first at Carpenter Bennett and then at McElroy Deutsch, but just a terrific Terrific lawyer. Mr. Brown is a past president of the Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers in New Jersey. He is the host of the Emmy Award-winning program Due Process. He received his bachelor's degree from Columbia University and earned his Juris Doctorate from the University of California at Berkeley School of Law. On behalf of the New Jersey Association for Justice, I am honored to introduce Raymond Brown as a recipient this year of the Jerry B. O'Connor Award. Mr. Brown.
So at 1 o'clock this morning, I received a call from Eric's lieutenant, Mark Perkis. He says, "Brown, you got 4 minutes." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "When they give you the award, you got 4 minutes to talk." So I said, "Wow, that's really a restraint, but I'll try my best to honor it." To receive in the short span of 2 weeks awards named for Frank D. and Gerald O'Connor could make a guy's head swell. I am blessed to have the wonderful antidote to that, my wife, Wanda Aiken, who is also a very fine lawyer in her own right and who's had my ego removed surgically. And I did want to thank the association for this award. I'm deeply flattered. I'm also flattered that Wanda and 2 tables of fine lawyers from my firm gave me the honor and have flattered me by coming here. John North assures me they did not come for the free drinks, but are genuinely here in support of me. The one serious thing I wanted to say is, Linda, there's a rich vein of literature about that dream. In fact, several rich veins, one of which we won't discuss because your son's here. But the other is role-differentiated behavior, the concept that our craft requires of us something special, something in terms of commitment to others. There is a rich discussion about that because we are different. We do have a higher obligation. And the 3 lawyers I wanted to mention to you in my 4 minutes were first Lord Brougham, who said in a phrase that is still considered controversial, "The lawyer in the discharge of her sacred duty knows but one person in all the world, and that person is her client." And he said it at a time when his defense threatened to bring down a monarchy. Of course, now he would have to amend that by saying, subject to the rules of professional conduct. The second is a man named Charles Hamilton Houston, who was the father of the line of cases that brought Brown versus Board of Education to the United States Supreme Court. He started with Missouri ex rel Gaines v. Canada in 1937 and died just before Brown was argued. He was the dean of Howard Law School and a remarkable lawyer. And he's famous for saying, and this also will take us back to Linda's speech and the words Eric said earlier, that a lawyer is either a parasite or a social engineer. It's a challenge. We are about more than making money, else we disgrace the craft that we all embrace. And finally, there's a person who many of you know, Paul was kind enough to mention. I got to say, I'm deeply honored to have an award not just named for Gerald O'Connor, but having been given to Gerald Baker and Justin Walder in the past, as well as the other 3 wonderful lawyers who are sharing it with me tonight. My father said 2 things that are worthy of note. Actually said a lot more than that, but I only have time for 2. The first was, although he was not a man to quote scripture constantly, was he always talked about the least of these. He said, when your practice becomes moved away from the concept of making sure that access to justice is available to the least of these, then you've lost sight of the pole star that ought to guide your life. And the other, more intimate, but maybe equally powerful, is to fear no man. My father was the greatest lawyer I ever knew, the greatest human being I ever knew, and one of the few people I've ever known who showed no fear. To us lesser mortals, the question of fear, whether it comes from tyrants who occupy seats of power in government, or whether it comes from the inner voice of doubt that sometimes can bedevil us. We should never be motivated by fear. In fact, he constantly used to say as a refrain, "Fear no man." So I take this wonderful plaque and the accolades of people that I respect greatly, not as some token of what I've accomplished in my life, but as a symbol of a North Star that I should follow and that I hope we will all follow. which entails being committed to a concept of justice that embraces every person in this society and does not know racism, xenophobia, sexism, or other things that would cast people from the warmth of our embrace. Thank you very much for this award.